I wanted to sing, but I don't have the energy for that. Good morning and welcome to a new week on Jasiri. It's Monday, and as we like to do, we start our week with catching up with the big trending issues from the weekend. But before we go into all of that, ladies, how was your weekend? I know for starters, you guys had a party that I wasn't a part of, but it's okay. I didn't party. I didn't take part in the party.
Were you invited?
Yes.
Okay, so I think I handled it. Yeah. Can I tell you how my weekend was? I spent the weekend. Oh no, I spent
your weekend started.
It's my story.
Okay.
Thank you. I spent 1 hour on a lovely Sunday evening, arguing with my 8-year-old as to why we should not kill the rats that we caught in the house.
Coco.
But it's a rat. It can't help itself. It was created by God like that. I said, really? 1 hour.
Why didn't you put the rat in her clothes?
Exactly.
In her clothing?
Yeah. No, she said
so that he can pierce through her clothing.
When I told her about all the contagion, everything, but it's not his fault. Okay, let's let it go because it was on one of these sticky glue. No, somebody should. I said, who's going to go and remove it yourself?
The sticky glue got it.
I felt like I was arguing with I felt like I was arguing with a mini-me.
I love
it. It's progress.
Yeah.
At least you agree that there's a possibility that could perhaps be a mini you.
No, my sister,
I love it so
my sister
much.
has told me is God. God is laughing.
Honestly, because
I did.
for all the sass that Coco has, Tolu, you birthed it into her. So
I'm proud of you, Coco.
So
keep it up.
Collect it and just quiet. You should not just...
Actually, I'm feeling like my weekend was like a high weekend.
Can you hear Lolo?
Like when you spend,
Can you hear Lolo?
You know when you
This is the
spend
first time I can't hear
weekend
Lolo.
with hippies. You know those kind of hippies that just believe in the sun and
What?
they're
Where were
having
you?
A grassy weekend.
No, I don't understand.
Where were you?
Hello?
Still being hypnotized.
Yeah.
Bololo, where did you go?
I can't tell everything I do on television. There are some things that are to be
We have some snooping to do.
No, I know. I honestly think I'm the one that had the most normal weekend.
But you're looking bright as the sun.
Yeah,
Yellow,
exactly.
Yeah, that's
Marking yellow.
Now, let me
Just
confess
so
something. No,
bright.
really, let me confess something to you guys. I'm not a Monday person. I'm not. I think I've said it.
Is it my thing? How do you know it's Monday?
You don't know, Sha.
Who you're not liking Monday, who will help? On this table now, what did he do? Even after though, that you don't like Monday, who cares?
So I was explaining
Her voice is getting louder.
Yes, it's going.
that I needed to brighten up. I needed sunshine in my life, and I needed something to prep me for the week. So I said, why not yellow? And there's a cool place.
I've got sunshine
It was all yellow.
on a cloudy day.
Auntie that asked the question, how's your weekend?
Oh, yeah, right.
Boring as usual.
No, Blessings cannot tell us her weekend was boring.
Was your weekend boring?
I can't tell you, but it was.
What was the program you even
No, but
do?
well, I think that I decided for the first time in a long time to just rest. It was hard. Oh, and by the way, I'm a parent again. That's parent. Like, I got a dog. Yeah, a lot of people don't know the story. I think only Tolu knows the story. I lost a dog, and it was so emotional for me. Sorry.
Oh, my friend lost his
What type of dog
dog
did you
too.
It's a Lhasa Apso. So cute. Absolutely cute.
Bring the dog one day to come and join us on Jasiri.
I think I'll do that.
Don't bring
His name's
Ghanaian.
Archer, right? And the reason I named it Archer was the last one I had was Icy, and then he died a day after we brought him, and it was so devastating. So I told myself I was going to get another one, right? So I insisted on naming the new one Icy. But one day I just came across a dog name called Archer, and the spiritual meaning of Archer is letting go. So I'm like,
Oh my God.
It's okay.
That we're talking
We're
about
going to have Archer on the show. He'll tell us how Blessings is as a... What did you call a parent?
parent.
Parent.
I'm a parent. So nobody should tell me I don't have a child again. I'm feeding a mouth.
You're responsible.
I'm responsible for a baby.
You're
I woke up this morning boiling rice. I'm not even eating.
So will you feed her chin chin too?
Okay, ladies, I need to ask a quick one. We might all be talking about how our weekends went, but nobody has talked about the internet disruptions that is making life on the continent super frustrating. Transferring funds, even just a simple video that used to play so quickly is not playing anymore, and you're like, what's going on? How were you guys affected this weekend?
Honestly, it was terrifying. It was within the house. It was so hard to get network. You're trying to make contact. You're trying to do stuff. Everything was just like standstill.
You know the funny thing, I realized when you don't exactly need it, nothing happens to the internet. But when you are in dire need, I literally had to make a payment for something because I needed to get it at a particular price. And if I didn't make a payment, I think the whole thing started Thursday. So I was supposed to make a payment on Friday. And the person was like, go to the bank. I'm like, that's true. People still go to the bank.
That's when you now remember that there's some options.
I was panicking. I went to the bank.
Someone showed me this video.
So what we know now is that according to reports, the undersea cable cuts led to widespread outages across some West African countries. It's also a very stark reminder for many of us of how interconnected our world is and the importance of reliable connectivity. And I know, Lolo, we looked at some of the countries.
Yeah. Honestly, it's quite, we felt it, but I think it's quite severe in Cote d'Ivoire. If we're complaining in Nigeria, where the medium, we have medium impact, what should the people in Cote d'Ivoire be saying? I hear they're really on the extreme of this spectrum of lack of connectivity. Sorry about that. So we have places like maybe Ivory Coast, where there's complete outage, Liberia, Benin Republic, even Ghana. Nigeria wasn't left out of it. We have Cameroon, Niger, Burkina Faso, so many African countries were actually affected. And we range from the color, you can see that those are on the red zone, they are the very severe ones. On the purple zone, medium. Then like the pinkish one, like slow, medium.
The ones I really enjoying who are now Cameroon.
Which one is it really enjoying?
No, at least how are you enjoying? Because Cameroon is one of those people that have no impact. Oh, you want to relocate to your other country? Are you even loyal to us here? Tolu, how can you have a traitor on the table where Nigerians are?
The conversation
how did we go from internet disruption to loyalty and traitor?
Let's keep the traitor out.
No, but on a serious note, right? I've always been an advocate for once in a while let the network just. I'm not talking about making payments. Yes, but so that you can talk to me, look me in the face.
There's a difference I think there's a difference in deciding to drop it and being frustrated.
No, so the thing is, if it didn't have impact on payments and transfers and all that, I honestly would support. In fact, I would say take your time because I feel like we're getting too used to it. There was a time. This is not the first time. There was a time some network providers in Nigeria had some, scoring, and then the thing went off for I think for a day, almost 24 hours. The truth is, I didn't even notice because at the time I started my digital detox journey for a long time. So I was reading books and all that, and my brother was frustrated. Like, can you? Are you on Instagram? Can you access Instagram? Like, calm down.
No, people actually end up, and this is how I agree with her, you end up seeing how addicted some people are.
Yes.
I cannot imagine, like some influencers who have content, we even have probably campaigns that they were supposed to post this weekend, how they would have been feeling this weekend. But I know one set of individuals that will stylishly be happy with what's going on. Ask me.
Who?
Politicians. Because by the time you're trying to send one tweet insulting one politician and their father and their ancestors, and it's not going, they'll small reprieve. They'll have small reprieve.
Politicians.
Politicians.
But before we go, do you know that with this cable cut, do you know that something just came to mind?
What's that?
That there are some people that have very unique jobs. Some people are going to be repairing this cable. That means they're probably undersea divers and also engineers. Can I meet one, please?
Oh my God.
We'll send you with them. We'll send Lolo with them.
I was waiting for you to arrive.
I love underwater.
Anyways, ladies.
No, before you go into that. Okay. We have to take a quick time out because we have an update on the story. Blessings will give you all the latest details when we come back. But right now, we have to take a quick time out. You're watching Jasiri right here on News Central. Do stay with us.
Thanks for staying with us on Jasiri. We're still talking about the internet connectivity and the frustration that it came with. So do also drop your comments wherever you're watching us from. Let's know how this has affected you. But moving forward, before I say what I want to say, I want to ask a question. Ladies, what would you say are your vocal mannerisms? I know I say, you know, a lot. And I also noticed recently that I always say, anyways.
What's our vocal
Are you
manners?
present? Nah, she really looks like she. You know how I struggled on Friday? Lola looks like she's struggling.
Lola
Are you
is struggling.
present?
But I know yours. Lola says, this thing about.
So what is to lose? What's tabs?
What's
I
tabs?
think I've been.
You have.
No, I have but not a lot, and I use my hands to talk.
I think mine is
Even
laughter.
Even though. Where is this coming from?
Oh boy.
I don't know. I just.
And really, you took us out
Blessings.
of
Can you move us forward from your vocal?
Ladies, I've got an update on a story that we talked about recently, and that is the UK banning dependents from foreign healthcare workers going to the country to work. I think last week it was Tolu that mentioned that UK universities are already feeling the impact of a previous decision to ban international students from being able to bring their dependents with them while studying. Now, some UK universities are on the brink of bankruptcy due to a significant decline and emphasis on significant in international student numbers, particularly from Nigeria and India. Now, this decline is attributed to the UK's new immigration policies, which have made it increasingly difficult for students to bring their dependents with them while studying abroad. It's obvious now the valuable contributions that international students make to the UK's academic and cultural landscape. Hopefully, they review that policy. Let's take a look.
And this headline coming in from the Times says that universities to cut courses and staff after collapse in foreign students. And I remember talking about the fact that foreign students tend to pay 4 times, if not more, than UK residents or UK students. And what you find is that their school fees have been locked around that £9,000 for a long time. So universities are making the difference from international students. But you want me to come and study without my family? No.
But the question for the UK at the presently is, where do we go from here?
Yeah.
So how can they strike a balance between immigration control and maintaining a welcoming environment for international students? We hope they can find a solution that ensures access to quality education for all students, regardless of their nationality. We're hoping. Because I almost sang Emila Oni Yossi.
You are singing it
See, we can't ignore the fact that there are people who do overstay visas and all those good things and everything. But I'll emphasize what I said again last week. Nigerians are not at the top of the list of the immigrants or the countries that have of the countries that have students immigrating to the UK to go and study. You still have to beat China. You need to beat India. You need to beat, I think, one other Asian country. But don't you wonder why it seems that in the West, the face of immigration, particularly illegal immigration, wears a black face? When a lot of the times we're not actually the number at the top.
Valid point.
Why does it always seem to wear a black face? Even in the US, you'll see illegal immigration wearing a black or brown face.
You don't
but
see
the
the
people
Chinese.
who outstay their visas most in the US are Canadians.
Can you imagine?
Yes, that's what the data says. But immigration will wear, especially illegal immigration, when they want to start all their political maneuvering, it will wear a black or a brown face.
I've always said it that I've always said it in street parlance, they are not pure. There's always something. Yeah. Are you selling the market? Are you selling the propaganda that we are, it's the blacks and the browns that are overstaying their visas? There's a reason why they do what they do. We're not at the top of the list in any way. We're at the top of, we have our Indian brothers, our Chinese brothers and sisters who are, eking out a fortune to make sure they go to school in the universities. I'm not going to lie, the news sweets me.
To be honest, right, I would not exactly discredit
back to the drawing board.
I would not exactly discredit the intention behind immigration control because for in some way it also helps maintain, the supremacy, the power, and all that, and also puts into check the level of governance and the people you have to govern. I'm just trying to imagine if Nigeria was, an AI country, and by AI country I mean the perfect example of the Nigeria that we all want, and then we had people trooping in en masse, right? It might torpedo a lot of things, the cost of living and stuff like that.
And everything.
Lola, are you still here?
I see. Yeah, she said AI.
So I want to, because I like the numbers. Number 1 is China, 22.3%.
No.
Number 2 is India, 18.6%.
They are very many.
But wait, we're third. Ask us. We're 6.5%. Then Pakistan is 4.5%. Again, why does it seem that it was our face?
But black stands out. What other reason are you looking for? black stands out when we're anywhere.
I would like the media also plays a role.
And maybe because we come
the media also plays a role because a lot of times you're watching TV and they would focus on the black. If all of them are migrants, they will focus on that black man that is crying.
But do you think that it's because we come with a lot of bad behavior?
No, it's just that they still see us as inferior.
Our bad behavior is magnified over everybody else. All of these immigrants behave badly.
Yes, it's just that they still see us as inferior, let's be honest. They still have that mentality.
Well, in all honesty, it's time to be pragmatic and check what works for you. Like Blessing said, there must be a reason why you're doing that. You want to maintain structure, supremacy, and control of your country. That's all well and good. But we're living in a world where everything is evolving.
Yeah.
We talked about raising children, parenting, everything. You have to open your minds to possibilities. And listen, it's just that we are badly behaved here. We have all we need in this country.
We do.
It's just that we are badly behaved. And the people who are going to study, the Chinese and the Pakistanis who are going there to study, in the end, they take the knowledge they've acquired back to their countries and develop, because China is... That is an emerging economy. No, not emerging, it's
number 2 in the world.
Over the world. Yeah. You understand? So what are we talking about? So if you want to cut your nose to spite your face, I'm talking about the United Kingdom. I don't see how that works.
Nobody can stop. And I think also there are also conversations happening around how people are intermingling, because also people, now you're getting to a point where you're filling these forms, your race is mixed race. And a lot of mixed race is black and whatever. Yeah. You know, I saw one lady recently on social media, she was Ghanaian and Indian. And everybody was like, what? They've never seen a Ghanaian Indian before. And she looks so Indian, but when you look at her, you know, there's a touch of Africa in this girl. And then there are those who will be talking about the fact that they do not want all this co-mingling, intermingling of the races.
The beauty of the world.
But let's be honest, have you not noticed that before we can talk about, hardly can we talk about a pure race any longer?
Yeah.
Because everybody has intermingled.
Evolution.
I feel like
culturated every other place over the years.
I feel like the blacks are very adventurous when it comes to that, because you see, now we have Instagram pages for Blasian couples. I'd never heard of black and Asians before, and there's such a
Black Asian.
So
like Blessing now, she's a confused race.
It's all right. I'm gonna move on from that point, because it's like she's not in the stupor anymore of whatever happened. Weekend. All right, we're still touching on the happenings over the weekend and looking forward to also hearing from you in the comments across our social media channels at News Central TV, and also use the hashtag Jasiri. Now let's unpack the troubling video that has been circulating online, featuring some disturbing statements from 2 women about their experiences in marriage. These women made shocking remarks like, my husband beats me, but I know he loves me. I don't want to there's not as much power in me saying it as in you hearing it from them. So we'll go into the conversation, which really looked about basically what is almost like grounds for divorce and what is not. And these views were shared during a show. Let's go into that.
Mine was hit starved to death just because of beans. That the beans was not soft enough for a man to eat. I've experienced coma go 3 times. I'm telling you my life history.
You saw those signs. What happened? You were in love. You just ignored the signs. Continue ignoring the signs now.
There is no marriage without fights. Let us not deceive ourselves. This is a man that I know that, oh, yes, he hates me, but yet he loves me.
If your husband sexually abused your child and you find out it's true, what are you going to do?
The man will definitely be reported.
Yeah.
But that does not feel me that I will divorce my husband. I want you to get that back.
Oh, wow.
Wow! I'm logging out of this conversation.
You know, guys, it's
I want to log out.
Do you really want to stand up?
No, seriously, it is heartbreaking to hear this sentence, especially knowing the devastating impact of domestic violence and child abuse. Their statements seem to normalize abusive behavior within relationships. That is worrisome. I know he hits me, yet I know he loves me. What will happen? What will you do if your child was molested by your partner?
They will surely report him.
Say he will be reported.
I won't divorce him.
You know, there's a reaction because unfortunately there seems to be a story that reflects what we've been talking about. We can get that for you guys now. And it takes a look at, of course, how we're having issues with the core values that we have. But again, while we're waiting for the reaction, the conversation also is a woman talking about beans. Oh, let's take this. All right, yes, he hits me, but he loves me. This is what millennials want to teach us, Gen Z. And then you call us disrespectful for not indulging in BS. LMAO, let me not read out what it is. This is why y'all will keep dying in your abusive marriages, because what is this? That marriage is till your own death do you people part, because you will not save yourselves first. EF. Can you please tag the woman in red? I want to quickly ask her if she has any male child and ask her to help me beg them to avoid me and every sane person here, because I rebuke her as a mother. Talk less more of a mother-in-law. Hey girls, a man that loves you will never abuse you. Love doesn't hurt. You need to stop allowing men that hate you devour you. This woman in the video is not the only one that thinks that way. A lot of her kind here outside there, and I put their daughters and female relatives because they will be harmed and no one will be sought for them.
No help, yeah.
No help will be sought for them, sorry. She won't report him because she hates herself.
A man who is the father of your child and happens to be the husband rapes your child and you will not divorce him. I had to type this so I can testify I understand that statement well. Remaining in abusive marriage is equal to making heaven in the Nigerian mathematical equation.
You know, when you read that out, I had to... Okay, we still have more reactions.
Says the guy
called Alvin is a threat to society. I should never be allowed to date, talk less of marry until he goes through extensive therapy. Who is Alvin? The guy in question?
We're not sure, because there are several people sitting
on that table.
Yes.
They said he goes through extensive therapy to get rid of his demonic mindset, saying that in the future, education of a molested child should be considered a reason the mother shouldn't get a divorce. What a gremlin, you know? For the lady in orange, I was taught to be respectful to my elders, so let me...
Then the guy in the hat, there's an obvious reason why you've been separated countless times within only 3 years. Grow up. I went to YouTube to watch a full convo before dropping my opinion to be sure these short clips weren't biased, weren't clickbait. Alas, the full video was worse. I haven't been this inflamed by people's opinions for a long time.
Oh, man.
Just like everybody would say, this internet is going to give a lot of more confusion in the future, whether we like it or not. Now, the internet, the social media space is a free-for-all market to just banter any kind of thing that just tickles your fancy. I love my dog, kill me, we're married, I'm a cat, I meow. You know, there are all sorts of things that, even when you hear women saying these things, those are the things that break my own heart. It's easy for us to point hands or fingers at other genders or other people and say, oh, this was done to us. But the pain is more when we are the ones that do it to ourselves. Imagine that woman, her son dating my daughter.
I know.
So that's the thing that scares me, because we will do everything we can to raise our children as best as we can.
Yes.
Not everybody is meeting up to those same standards. And our children are going to interact, intermingle. They're going to fall in love before the blinders fall off, you know. But when you listen to this, what you also hear is trauma for me. You hear a woman who's been told that she is only as good as the fact that she's married. And so she must do everything, which either means losing her own life or possibly traumatizing and hurting her own child, up to the parts where, of course, she still continues to bear misses. That is a big issue. Lola, I understand when you're afraid of all the things that social media will bring up, but I also think social media helps us to bring these conversations. Because unfortunately, there are women running around who believe this exact thing. There are women who have offered their female children to their husbands so that their husbands don't look outside. There are women who look the other way when it's happening because it's to make sure that the man stays. So we need to know that we need to know that this stuff is happening. It's not Nollywood, it's not Hollywood. No, it's reality.
This conversation is literally giving me the ick, because like I have there are two people I have, or two institutions that I have problems with. You see, religious institutions and, would I say, ancestral or parental. Just as Tolu has said, there's so many people who believe that, you know, once you're in that marriage, you have to do anything to make it work, even if it means giving your child to the man. I've seen instances where a daughter would come to the mother and report that the man is, you know, looking at her a kind of way, touching her a kind of way, and the woman is like, you two, what were you wearing for your own father? And then, let me not even go too deep into religion, but you see this thing about, oh, you have to submit to your husband. Oh, he's my husband. There was a person, like an issue that was very close to home. Somebody I think last year, I'm not going to mention the name because, I mean, it's a popular name. The lady died because several times, you know, the pastors, she went to report to the pastors, and the pastors were like, no, he's your husband. You just have to treat him with love and respect and all that.
You have to pray for him. Enter the war room.
It's honestly
Fight for
really
your
frustrating.
marriage.
And to be honest, just like Tolu has said, this conversation, we're only hearing this woman's point of view because she's saying it. There's so many people walking around that believe this, so you cannot avoid them. You would definitely come across people.
You know,
with
every
this kind
time
of
I look at women that talk like this, before I got a divorce, a lot of people that don't know my story know that I've been Christian all my life.
I carried it.
They call me Sister Motunde of the Lord. But I came to a point in my life that if I didn't break out of this marriage, it's either I kill someone or I die. And I started to meditate on those two thoughts. And I said, if I killed someone, they'll say, my Christian sisters will gather and say, Lolo, when you knew these things was happening, why didn't you leave? Why didn't you leave him? Now you have killed someone. But when I say I wanted to go, some people told me that, Lolo, you don't follow the scriptures, you don't suffer long. You don't have the fruits of the Spirit. Your children will not grow up right. So imagine the things that I had to internalize. But I just shut everybody out, took my decision. It's been 13 years I've been single. I am okay.
I think a lot of people have that natural intuition. There's that naturally gentle push that tells you when you have arrived, you can't take it no more.
this destination.
I like the way you said I arrived. It's like every boss.
Listen, it's like a nice cool breeze blowing you on a hot summer's day.
Do you know this thing you said? I like data. I read a lot. And this thing you just said is actually backed by research. Research found that for many women who stand up and make the decision to get a divorce, what was one of the things? They dreamed about killing their husband.
Yes.
Or they dreamed about what would happen if he was dead. They knew that at that point, I need to leave this marriage.
So you know, it's literal because I experienced it. I started to read about things I can do because I wanted to be free. One of the things I thought was that if I was a widow, they would accept my singleness.
And they would pity you, at least they'd be more acceptable.
At least he died. And another thing I heard, maybe the Holy Spirit told me, like, would you want him to wish you dead also? So what is the thing that you're doing here? Why don't you just leave? My ex-husband and me, we still meet on good fronts. We co-parent. Both of us are okay. And life has not stopped moving. But I know many people that are bound in marriages that
are so unhappy.
You'd be like, every day the man slaps her, every single day. Have you ever seen, I know a woman that died of emotional abuse, Tolu. No, this is not even, we going to come out. I'm not even telling you a story. They said the man will look at her every day and say, you are worthless, you are foolish, you are stupid, you can never amount to anything. Do you know that this woman started to get ill?
She died of heartbreak.
She internalized everything. Nothing was happening, but she was emaciating. The man says it to her every day. She shriveled and died.
Wow. And the worst one is the ladies who now say things, or the women who now say things like, it's hitting me, but it's my fault.
Because I wanted to go there. The guy in the comments said, you saw the red flags. See, I've been married 10 years going on 11. I don't have the red flags in my marriage, but let me tell you, you discover things within a marriage. You will never know a person 100%. As much as we all try to make the right decision in our partner, there are aspects of our partners that we'll never know until we're married. There are many relationships that abuse was never part of the relationship until marriage. Unfortunately, marriage or a life factor, the man loses his job. Men tend to lash out when certain life circumstances happen to them because they don't have the emotional space that a lot of women have. So, man, this conversation is deep.
Honestly, this is a Diola kind of conversation.
Hold on. And it is, you know, on Jasiri, guys, if you're just tuned into Jasiri for the first time, welcome. On Jasiri, we uncover it layer by layer. We peel off these layers, and it's not in one fell swoop. So this is a conversation that most definitely we will repeat. But for now, let's take a short break. When we return, we have more things to unpack. I think Blessings is the one with the next story for us. Stay with us.
Well, thanks again for staying with us on Jasiri. We're still really carried away by the shocking mentality and mindset that so many people have towards relationships and especially marriage. And this next story is a sobering reality that shakes the very core of our society. Now, in Delta State, a mother's anguished plea reverberates as she implores the Delta State Police Command to release her husband, who was accused of abhorrent abuse of their 7-year-old daughter. Now, in case you're just joining and you didn't know, we were having a conversation similar to this earlier. Now, this was disclosed by the Delta State Command spokesperson, SP Bright Edafe, and he says that this distressing revelation underscores a critical shift in the command's stance against such reprehensible acts.
So after talking about that, he said that, trust my boss, he vehemently declined the woman's request. Parents at times go behind and collect money from the family of suspects and come back with an affidavit to withdraw the case. The command is making it clear now that offenses of rape and defilement are not compoundable, and as such, any form of withdrawal by either the victim or the family will not be tolerated. They may even be charged alongside the rapist.
I love that.
Let's take some reactions to this, because it's just something I think many people don't understand how deep. Someone said, okay, no, I can't read Pidgin.
Enough easy for poor family, Sha. How will the family cope without their father? But on the other thought, what the father did, evil. Can you even imagine that thought?
How do you think?
Just imagining him first saying that.
Let me cope. Lolo, hold on. This is bad. The father deserves to be punished anyway. But come to think of it, how can your boss prosecute a case without witnesses? The girl is a vital witness, so if the family decides not to make the girl available, what's next? And that's a complication in these cases. Somebody said, don't be offended. Have you ever treated case of women defiling a young lad before? Seems men are just the target. I am not trying to defend the men, no, but it seems like women don't do wrong sexually in the lives of the law. Whatever they do is awful, and that's very untrue. Very much so in the state of Lagos, I know. Again, Lagos on this issue is at the forefront, the Domestic and Sexual Violence Agency. Women have also been prosecuted as well. But let's come to this story.
Women need to empower themselves. I'm begging you. You know, the fact that I'm a single woman and I do this on my own and I've been doing it for 13 years, it just shows you that if you put a lot of work into it, you will be able to take care of your family. But the fact that you are willing to even beg someone because you cannot take care of your own child, so you rather that the rapist's father continues to be the one that provides for your child.
And that provision will soon become a tit for tat.
It's so hard for me to even imagine that it's because of poverty. It has no other reason that this woman will go back to literally beg for them to release the man.
No,
it's because she cannot provide.
No, sometimes it's not poverty, Mama. Sometimes it's not poverty. Sometimes it's just a way, it's just a weird, warped way of thinking.
So I think it's a mixture of poverty and Stockholm syndrome.
Okay, if you say poverty,
blessings, this happens with rich people.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, some
poverty
people
of
get
the mind of thinking.
used
what
to
is
it. So let me not lie, right? So that thing that guy said is the excuse that so many women use. Some of them want to leave, but you hear them say that, where would I go? No. What do I have? I don't have anything. So like it or not, there are people who, the reason they can't leave is because they're poor. They can't afford it. And you hear people say that. And that's why a lot of times we emphasize on women having something they're doing. I bet you that it would reduce, maybe not drastically, but the numbers will reduce when women have things that they're actually doing.
Let me digress. And I'm really digressing because this is out of what we're talking about. I was in conversation with one of my guests on my radio show, and she was saying, Catherine, it will shock you that some women would prefer not to get chemotherapy because they're on mastectomies because of what their husbands will leave them. It has nothing to do with whether you can provide for yourself or not. So I'm just saying that it's not a matter of, They said no, they don't want their husbands, they cannot stand it if they have a double mastectomy just to prevent the cancer. So are you saying that you're putting somebody else ahead of your life? So that's what I'm saying to you, that it's not a mentality of maybe of the poverty. Women need to give.
Of financial poverty.
Exactly, it's not that.
A mental poverty.
It's mental poverty.
Let's say it's not just that.
But I think it's prevalent in maybe uneducated homes or homes that...
Are you not hearing to do that? It's not
just the stories that come from rich homes.
If it's in rich, maybe rich homes or homes that are affluent, the only thing that they have that's here, that in that place is still the same thing. It's still a culture of silence and denial because of provision. Because the man is so heavily in control and is the provider. Do you know how many women stay in rich homes just because they are being provided for there. I know women of God in this country that know that their husbands are abusive. Or not just people, children, congregants. And they still stay there.
What do you say about women?
Because they don't want to lose their status.
So I wanted to say that because when you talk about provision, there are women who are doing well, doing very well, can leave and divorce. Yes. But the name, the status, the shame. Let me tell you, the shame that you said that people try to impart on you, there are many, many people, men and women that can't take it. And I also need to make a point on this situation. We've talked about generational trauma before. There are a lot of Nigerians who are walking around with generational trauma. And when we talk about this young girl, she's going to remember that her mother went to beg for her rapist to come back home, to be in the same house with her. And then you expect her to grow up and be normal. So she'll grow up now. She'll probably start exhibiting issues of hypersexuality. Children who are abused, they start doing hypersexuality. They engage in dangerous activities. They end up doing drugs or experimenting with drugs and alcohol. They're trying to cope with the pain. Self-cutting, self-harm. Those are taught. And then somebody will be looking at her, and then somebody will be looking at her and saying the things you're doing when she's 16 and 18, shaming the family. You don't remember what happened to her? We need to talk about the culture of shame that is used to perpetrate violence in this country, that is used to keep victims oppressed.
You know, I told you about a story of a friend of mine that does a lot of reach out to schools. And they said this is one of the most traumatizing stories I've ever heard. She said she broke her sim and never went back to the school after she went. She went there, they did counseling that if you know anything that you like to talk about, they gave a phone number. And this child sent a lengthy message that what do you do when both of your parents are your abusers? She had to call the child to find out that what are you saying? She said, my father sodomizes me and so does my mother. And this child at that time was about 8. And this thing came out when she was about 13. So they said she went to the school to try and talk to the head teacher. Of course, when they called the parents, they said that they're trying to put words in the mouth of their child, that they were going to withdraw the child out of the school and made a lot of noise. Of course, they told her, don't come here again. So who is going to protect our children?
If the protection that they need is from us.
Sometimes their own parents. My friend said she broke the sim because the things she heard, and this is a grade A school. I'm not talking about grade A, I'm not talking grade B.
Name school.
Grade A school. A plus.
That everybody
schools that pay millions per term.
It happens among the rich. It's unfortunate. We hope that the police in Delta State, we hope the police around Nigeria, because let's even be honest, the handling of such cases around the country is even uneven. It's not even. It's not done well. We need a replication of the DSVA agency across the country. But we do hope that police in Delta State can maintain, and there are some crimes that you do not actually require a witness or a complainant for the prosecution to move forward. And so we'll be seeing how this plays out, unfortunately. I want to move. My body is...
So let's move. Let's shift our focus to a thought-provoking post that has sparked, conversation on X. Some women on X are calling for DNA tests to be banned in Nigeria. It's as if we're just today. Guys,
producer,
they cite
this is mental torture.
They cite the fact that they highlight the harm it has caused to families and individuals. According to an ex-user, Benita, she shared a heartbreaking story of her neighbor discovering through a DNA test that he is not the father of his 2 daughters whom he had already raised and supported. Now, guys, let's take a look at this.
So basically, they want them to scrap a DNA test so that men will not know that the children are not theirs until the children now grow up, and then the men think that they have people that they can pass down their inheritance to. But then they find out that nada.
No, I'm curious as to what, you see, for you to move out of norm and say you're going for a DNA testing,
you're seeing
something happened. So mine is with every case, because there's been some DNA cases recently.
Most of the time it's usually something medical. So I've seen children that, in fact, there was a family one time, the son was getting ill often. And they kept wondering, the doctors kept checking, but because the 2 of them are AA, the parents, as in
genotype.
Their genotype
genotypes are AA.
No, I think one is AS, one is AA.
Yeah, so
I think the husband is AA, the wife is AS. So logically, there was no need to test for the sickle cell thing. And the child kept getting sick and sick and sick, maybe out of some kind of curiosity. Their doctor checked, and their son is SS.
Yeah. From curiosity.
So that was what
there's a rhesus factor, though.
But
still.
No, but rhesus factor doesn't affect genotype. Rhesus is Rh positive.
Rhesus is
it's something else we need to talk about. A lot of women don't know about rhesus factor. But when we talk about this DNA thing, man,
women
it's going to sound like
some of us.
Wait, I'm going to sound like I'm justifying. I'm not justifying.
We are wicked.
Wait, no. I'm not justifying, but we also know in this country that there are pressures to have children, and that there are so many men who will refuse to go and get
tested.
Checked. Your wife will get all the injections, all the tests of this world. Go and find out if it is low sperm count. Go and find out if it is if it's an inability to even get a woman pregnant. There are options. And so you have a woman who's facing pressure from in-laws, being called empty vessel, all this one. And guess what? Unfortunately, Nollywood movies have someone sleeping with the brother, someone sleeping with the driver. It is no excuse. Absolutely
some
not.
family members call the woman to the side.
So let's not lie.
Some family members encourage it.
I think that this is an opportunity to also tell men to be actively a part of the reproductive process, because they're not. Men should get tested. Is it vasectomy they call that thing? If you're thinking family planning, instead of the women injecting everything, their head, their shoulder, men should also get vasectomy or something.
Don't start that conversation.
But
they say you want to take away their masculinity.
I would, in fact,
so
I would also advise
that family planning hormonal does
to many women.
Exactly. So I would also advise, to be honest, because of how rampant it has become,
paternity fraud,
that the DNA test should become
mandatory.
Mandatory.
Because it is. I can't. There's a show. I can't remember the name of the show now. You would literally see the horrific expression on the man's face, like he's finished. What does he do when all the children are not his?
Look at this man. This man has 2 girls.
He has raised. They've gone to school. They are finished. And now you find out you're not the
white
father.
Guy?
No, this is a recent story. Now you find out you're not the father. You raised another man's child unknowingly. It's not to say you can raise another man's child. We have step parents.
If you want
we need to talk about Queen. We will talk about Queen this week. But raising another man's queen, Bibi Naija. You see the ladies? We'll talk about Queen this week. You can raise another man's child knowingly. But I think there's a certain level of wickedness and evil
fraud.
when you knowingly pass on another man's child to somebody else without telling them. There are women who will not do tests. They probably had multiple partners within the space of when they could get pregnant. And they will be hoping that it's the man that they choose. And they won't do tests. And they'll keep hoping that their lives are covered for the rest of their world.
But you know that there's a very erroneous Yoruba saying. That was there though.
It is only the mother that knows the father of the child.
Do you know that I even heard someone say something very
if you sleep with 4 people in one day,
in 1 week,
how do you know?
I heard someone say something
when you became born, you will know now.
A lady was trying to justify this whole thing that there's no point of a paternity test, and she said something very ludicrous. She was like, guys don't have evidence of cheating, so why should ladies have? Ladies should also be able to hide theirs. So basically, if a guy cheats, it's only when the woman gets pregnant and brings it home that you would know. So the woman is now saying that, me too, I should be able to hide, the evidence of my cheating.
Okay, guys, let me bust your brain. I know people who, a couple, they were together for a long time, and the woman never got pregnant by her husband. And time was going, so she decided that, okay, she would have the conversation with her husband, go get tested, guy with X, and then one day she went to town and she got pregnant and told him, we are expecting. She told him we are expecting, and she was filing her nails when she did that. So you can tell your family members that the guy refused to call the family members or because when they were time to conceive, families came together, what's going on with our daughter, what's going on with our children, we're not born, Abi, is it so hard, all that. So the husband refused to call the family members. She convoked a meeting and announced the family that they were pregnant. The family was happy. Whether the family knows that
he's not the father, but he knows he's not the father.
Yeah, but
I saw a tweet or a story, basically a story where the man said he was married to his wife for like 3 years. He knew he couldn't have children. So one day the wife came and said, I'm pregnant. And he didn't say anything. He trained the child and everything. And after years, I think eventually the man died or something like that. And the wife found out that he willed everything to his family, his sisters, his brother. She had nothing, the child had nothing. If that's what we want, then let's continue like that.
Mine not too wicked.
And his evil was the evil that precipitated the second evil.
Yes.
We need to go.
They were both guilty.
We hope that the internet...
Till tomorrow, we'll be with you from 10 o'clock West African time. Do not miss it.
What a wicked world.
They tell you.
That's what's in my comment.
Bye-bye.